Hey friends, today we are going to fill in one of the last few remaining holes here at the berm. I have got some fun things ahead and planned for this bed. We're really going to put in, I'm going to go over to the trial gardens and we are going to dig up a butterfly bush that we were testing last year from Walter's Gardens. Love this thing. It is beautiful. So we're going to dig her up and move her over to the berm. I've got an empty space here in front of this panel, so we are going to put her there, and then we're going to fill in the rest with some gorgeous, really colorful flowering foliage, beautiful colors, textures of annuals, because like you've seen me do in this berm for the past, gosh, we started this berm in like October, I think it was. And so it's developed magnificently well. Love how it is coming out. But I do have a couple little pockets on the house side of the berm that I need to fill in with some pops of color. And then we're going to continue that color across just the little way here at the flower bed next to the creek. So let me show you the annuals that we're going to use in the berm. And then we're going to pop on over to the nursery and dig up that butterfly bush. All right, my friends, so I have Johnny here, and Johnny is filled with some fantastic, fabulous color. We're going to use 3 different annuals in this space, and then we're going to carry it over. Just like I said, right in front of Johnny, there is a little spot where I had some jonquils and I have the popcorn viburnum. So we're going to put some annual color right there just to tie these 2 spaces together. Basically, they're separated by what is going to have a gate here at the berm. So let's talk height first. We are going to use some Cleome, and this is Senorita Blanca. It is a fantastic Cleome. I love Cleome. I think it is just a beautiful, fantastic plant that gives you height and texture and gorgeous color in a flower bed or a container. So then in the container, it will act as your thriller. Today we are going to use it in, I'm going to put them in, plant them in groups of 3, and we're going to have 4 different groups, and I'm going to put them in the very back of the flower bed because she can get 24 to 48 inches tall, and because she's going in the landscape full sun, this should be like prime conditions for her. She'll probably go ahead and reach that 48 inches tall, which will be wonderful because I'm going to plant them. I'll show you where, but they're going to have the backdrop of the North Pole arborvitaes, which are a nice dark green, so they will really show up. Now, these are going to be full sun plants, and they are annuals unless you are in really warm climates like zones 10 and 11. We can space these anywhere from 12 to 18 inches apart from each other because obviously, right, they are more tall than they are wide. Cleome, traditional Cleome, it is an old plant, right? It's an old-fashioned plant. So your grandmother, your aunts, your mom could have grown Cleome in her garden. Absolutely, it is not a new plant. However, Cleome is traditionally, it is from seed, so they will set seeds and then spray them all over your yard. So they could be slightly invasive and pop up in areas that you don't want, and they would have little thorns on them. Proven Winners takes all those pesky characteristics and breeds them out of the plant. So these are sterile, they are not going to set seed, and they have no thorns. So there you go. Fantastic, and I love the white. I have used Senorita Rosalita, which is a very nice soft pink, but here in this case I want that white to pop out against the dark black fence against the North Poles. And remember, we have both Snowdrift and Mini Vista White petunias just right up from this space, so this will tie in those colors quite nicely. So I have 12. We're going to put them in groups of 3, and there will be 4 groups. Next, we have the absolutely gorgeous, I love this coleus. This is Wicked Witch, and Wicked Witch is of course part of the Color Blaze series from Proven Winners. So we can do sun or shade. This is going to be full sun. Now we're going to plant this at the very end of the berm, and we're going to plant it behind the golden Oakland holly, which is a nice chartreuse, really bright, vibrant color. So this is going to pair really nicely with it because it does have the dark foliage, but then the chartreuse edging on the ruffled leaves. So we're going to plant, I have 10, I'll probably use all 10 of those behind the golden Oakland holly, right up against the fence. So that'll give me some height there as well. really beautiful plant, nice and vigorous and very healthy. I think you can see probably how those roots are coming out. This is a proven winners plant. Remember, we have talked about this before. We knew that we were going to be planting these and using these for video purposes only and not selling them. So that is why they are in a non-branded container. So all is good here. But Color Blaze, Wicked Witch, fantastic coleus, nice big presence to it. Loves the sun or the shade. So we're going to put that in and we're going to plant that basically as a hedge. So it's going to be one big massive plant behind the golden Oakland holly. Then for my main pop of color, like the big kapow of this flower bed, is going to be some sun patience. I really love sun patience because they are so easy. They do take full sun, hence their name, sun patience. Full sun and will get nice and big. So this is the Sun Patience Compact Purple. I think you can see that. And if you remember, if you are a follower of Gardening with Creekside, you know that we just planted in this same bed 20 feet away. I have mass jazzberry, right? So jazzberry en masse all over the place. Therefore, we're going to bring that color right on down the berm and we're going to plant it around the Oakland holly, and then we're going to plant it in big, huge, massive drift over there behind me in front of the popcorn viburnum. So we're taking those colors, the white, the jazzberry color, and we're bringing it on down the bed, but it's not too terribly going to be too terribly close to the jazzberries and the white impatiens over, the white petunias over there. So we're going to bring all of those colors down, get them planted and fill in these holes, and it's just going to be absolutely gorgeous. So what we're going to do now is pop over to the greenhouse, the nursery rather, and dig up that butterfly bush so we can get her in the ground first. All right, my friends, so here we are over at the nursery and the trial beds. This beautiful plant right here, this is the Pink Cascade 2 butterfly bush, a buddleia. And last year, like I said, Walters sent us a whole slew of plants like they do every year for new introductions for us to try. And this was one of those plants. It was magnificent last year. I have it pulled up on my phone so that way I can give you all the great details on it. But Pink Cascade, like all of the Cascade series from Walters Gardens, has massive blooms on them. And like their name suggests, they have more of a weeping, trailing habit. Yes, it is going to be upright. They're going to be about 4 feet tall, 4 to 5 feet wide. But the blooms, instead of going straight up, will arch and kind of hang over. It is a beautiful different look and texture in the garden. And then I'm going to have the cleome behind it. Well, that will be nice and upright. So then to have a different movement to the plant will be really fun. Now, Pink Cascade is definitely going to be a full sun plant. Your buddleias love, love, love the sun, and they tend to like it a little bit on the drier side. A lot of times if people will lose their butterfly bushes in the wintertime, it is because maybe they're too wet. So you definitely want to plant these up high so that they can drain well. It will work really well on the berm because it will, the water will naturally flow away from the plant. Hardy in zones 5 to 10, like I said, full sun, and it is one of the later blooming buddleias. So my pugsters have already started blooming. This I don't even see quite yet any buds on it. So the good thing about it blooming later is that it extends all the way into the summer and into the fall. It wasn't until late summer last year that I really noticed it and I was like, oh my gosh, what is this plant? It is Pink Cascade 2. Now, you might be wondering what this is behind me. This is part more of the Monarda, the bee balm. This is upscale lavender. Gorgeous perennial, just it pairs really nicely. But you can see that this definitely is a trial garden, a test garden, because I couldn't leave these growing how they are. This, the upscale lavender, loves this spot, so I'm probably, well, we're gonna have to because we're gonna be putting in the signature garden, so this bed is going to, quote, disappear. So we're going to remove the plants that we love and that are thriving and then relocate them somewhere else. So today we're going to start that process and we're going to dig up the Pink Cascade 2. My goal is to get as absolute much roots as I possibly can. That way she doesn't go into too much shock when I move her over. So this is going to be about the few times that I'm going to use a shovel in my garden. Normally it is always the power planter auger. But yeah, you need a shovel for this one. So we're gonna grab the shovel and dig this baby up. All right, my friends, so butterfly bush, not a massive root system, but you can see we had some long roots. Now, I've got to get this in the ground ASAP. So power planter auger, got her going, nice hole. So that's a little too deep, so I'm gonna pull back some native soil, zhuzh it around. Still a little too deep. That's the thing about this, this soil is so loose that I forget I don't have to go as vigorous on my power planter auger. Okay, that looks good. Now, it is a little bit more challenging to transplant than say if this were in a, a 3-gallon container, because I would have a nice solid root ball to work with, and here I don't. So it's gonna be a little precarious here in the beginning to make sure that it is nice and secure and happy. It is a very sunny, warm day today, and you can already tell that pink cascade here is starting to get a little limpy. So what I am gonna do is first get her nice and secure in her new home and tamp her down. Now the soil here is damp. It is not soaking wet, but it definitely is more moist than what it was where she came from. Obviously, I'm going to get her some good water, but really kind of like pressing that down into, make sure that there's no air pockets in there and that she's nice and secure, bringing back more soil as I need it. Now, because I am transplanting her, and I just cut some of her roots. I tried not to, obviously, but inevitably you're going to, right? And it is sunny, it is warm. Obviously, she's starting to go into some distress. So when you're doing this, really to help the plant is to trim it back a little bit. I am not gonna be like super crazy aggressive. I am just gonna come in and take off a little bit. That way, the plant doesn't have as much plant foliage to support and try to recover. This will delay my flowers a little bit, not horribly long, but it will actually help her recover a little bit more, and it will make the plant fuller and thicker, which is always a good thing. I'm going to have to watch her for the next couple of days, make sure she has plenty of water and that she can recover. You know that it has recovered if by morning she's nice and perky. If even in the morning it is limp and hanging over, then you're not watering it enough, and so you're going to want to increase your watering a little bit. That being said, of course, butterfly bushes do tend to like it on the drier side. Here in the beginning, when you're trying to get her established and back to her new home, get those roots going, you're going to have to water more than you normally would. A great thing, if you can time it, I could not time it this way, is if you can do this on a cloudy day, even if it's raining a little bit, then that would be amazing. But a cloudy day, you would not get this kind of wilt. So, but I just didn't have the time. I just had to go ahead and move her when I could, and therefore I'm giving her a little trim. Good thing is we're supposed to get some rain in a couple of days, so that will certainly help as well. So I'm just going to finish pruning her just a little bit. You can see I did not take off major growth. I just want to come in there and help relieve some of the stress, and I'm going to go ahead and get a bucket of water and get some water on her That way she can help recover. I know my mom, and I know a lot of gardeners will do this when they've done this very thing and they're transplanting and it's in the sun. If you have an umbrella, like a yard umbrella or a nice big umbrella that you can secure and put it in the shade for, you know, a day or two, then that certainly helps. Today is windy and I don't have a big umbrella, so yeah, we're gonna toughen this girl up real quick around here. So I'm gonna get some water and get her watered. Okay guys, so Cascade is been nice and watered. She is very limpy though, so definitely gonna have to keep an eye on her. And I've gone ahead and placed the Cleome, the Coleus, and the Sun Patience. So let me just kind of explain here my reasoning and my thinking as far as the design. Now, if you are looking at Pink Cascade 2 and you're like, Jenny, she is not in the center of the panel, the fence panel. Well, yes, I know, because when she is, she gets way too close to the sprinter boxwoods, and it looked off, like it looked more weird to have her too far over that way, because I want these shrubs to be able to grow, and I am thinking about their mature size. So she is placed really kind of halfway between the October Magic Ruby Camellia and the Sprinter Boxwoods. So she is right there. Now I do have a little pocket right here that I can still put some annuals. I don't want to put the Sun Patience because they're too close to the Jazzberry, and I'm afraid that color, since they're the same color, it would look a little weird. So maybe we'll come back later on and do something there. I changed my mind, and because of the design, it looked better to have 3 groups of the Cleome instead of 4. So we have a group of 4 on each side of the Cascade, and then continues down to be on each side of the pufferfish. That'll give me some nice height in the back of that bed as I'm waiting for Pink Cascade 2 to grow. Then we're coming on down here to the Golden Oakland Holly, and I've got the Color Blaze Wicked Witch has been placed. I went ahead and used 10 of them, so I put them towards the back and kind of wrapped them around the holly because I want them to kind of like give the holly a hug. Now, you'll notice that I gave the holly plenty of room. Like, I could have brought these closer, but I want this holly to grow, and I don't want the Coleus or the Sun Patience to get so big, which they will, and then grow into the holly, because that will put shadows on the holly, and they won't grow as full and as thick as I want. I am using annuals here to fill in for the time being. And then I did 2 groups of 5 on the corners right here. So that is kind of my thought process for this space. I was really hoping that I could use more Sun Patience in here, but I know that these will get nice and tall and thick and full. And if I come too far down close to the grass, then when we're mowing the grass or we're weed eating and trying to keep the weeds, the grass from coming from the field into the berm, then that'll make it hard with having those Sun Patience right there. So I made sure to push them up enough so that we can maintain that edge really nicely. So what I'm going to do now is just use my Power Planter auger. I'm going to use the, I think I've got the 5-inch drill bit on there. I am just going to get these babies in the ground and use some of the Proven Winners continuous release fertilizer on it, and then we'll come back and get everything watered once this is all said and done. friends, so the berm section of today's planting is complete. It's getting to be a little toasty out here. It's about 12:30 in the afternoon, and yeah, it's a little warm out here. So the plants though are doing really well, minus our pink cascade too, because I got everybody really well watered before I brought them down here, and the soil itself is nice and damp. So I think I can forego bringing out extra water for them today. The pink cascade, I will see how she recovers as soon as the sun gets off of her. She has a little bit of time to recover. I have a feeling that she's going to perk right back up. I have watered her multiple times, so that way the water really kind of gets down in there and it all just doesn't run right off. But I do really like this. It has filled in this empty space, and all those colors really do tie in together, right? So when you're designing, whether it is a pot, it's really more so, I guess I would say, like your big design plan of your garden, no matter what the size of your garden is, right? So if it is a nice little balcony, or if it is a smaller yard, if it's an established yard, or if it's like a big piece of property like what we have 8.5 acres here, and so you're trying to tie in your colors, right? So repeat colors. It does not have to be the same plant, as long as you have some sort of common theme throughout the space, especially when you see those spaces together. So here, my colors that are really tying in this side of the berm together are the white from the Mini Vista White, the Vista Snowdrift, and then my white Cleome, my kind of that raspberry pink that is from the Supertunia Vista Jazzberry, and then these Sun Patience. Those are all that same shade of color. And then I dare say even my yellow. I know there are different shades of yellow, but the Mini Vista Yellow Petunia, and then the Golden Oakland Holly, that is a shade of yellow as well. So that all kind of ties in together. So from a distance, when we're sitting on the front porch, this will all flow together. One more way that we're going to make this flow together is we are going to repeat those Sun Patience right over here on my right hand shoulder in front of the popcorn viburnums. We're just going to do a mass planting of those. I do have daffodils, jonquils in that space, and my foliage is ready to be cut back, but I'm going to wait and cut it back until after I plant my Sun Patience. That way I'm not putting a Sun Patient right on top of my bulbs and dig up my bulbs. So what I'm going to do is just flip the camera around, and we're going to go ahead and place these Sun Patience and then get them in the ground as well. All right, my friends, so look at all those little babies in the ground. That's right, we got the Sun Patience in the ground. Looks fantastic. What equally looks as fantastic as the Sun Patience is getting rid of that old jonquil foliage. I mean, it is really nice to get that out of here. So you want to wait and let your daffodils die back until they start to turn yellow and flop over. The reason you do that is because they need to store up energy for next year. We grow and have jonquils. So it is a type of daffodil, it's the jonquillas. They do best in the south with our heat and humidity and faithfully come back every year. So that's why I'll say jonquils or daffodils. I use that term interchangeably. Growing up as a child, my mama just called them jonquils, and I later realized, like, oh, jonquils, daffodils, there you go. So they are nice and cut back. These, of course, you can see that I have left because they're not quite floppy enough for me. So once they flop, I will cut those back. Now, I can't go too far to the sun patients before we talk about these beautiful hydrangeas. This is Invincible Ruby, and I have 3 of them right here. These are color-specific hydrangeas, bloom on new growth, just a really sweet little ruby red flower on them. We have found that the Invincibles do best for us with morning sun and afternoon shade. These are not on irrigation. So for them to look like this here, surrounded by the popcorn viburnum, natural trees, and then right here off to the side, limelight hydrangea. So they are doing great. I just wanted to show them to you because we do enjoy them so much. Here we have the sun patience. Now, it is not a perfect row. There's kind of like 3 rows in there, but it doesn't really matter. Don't get too hung up on the placement because as these grow and develop, they're going to come and form one big, huge mass. Megan and I were talking. Brenna always seems to know where the camera is, and she likes to put herself like right there in the camera. That is too funny. So there they are. Nice, big pop of color. They are going to look gorgeous right here. And there is 0 irrigation on this side of the fence. However, we do have irrigation on the other side of the fence. And so I am gonna go ahead and tap into that and then bring that in front and around these sun patients, because when I was drilling my holes, that soil is really dry. And impatiens particularly are not like what I would call drought tolerant plants. Heat tolerant, yes. Heat, humidity, love it. Dry conditions, not so much. So it will be super easy just to tap into this line and bring down some water. That way when the entrance beds get watered, these guys will get watered well and everybody will be doing great. And just to give you a whole perspective here of this whole space, let me kind of flip it around here a little bit for you. So here we go, right? All those sun patients. We have the soon-to-be gate is going to be there, and then coming over where we were earlier, right in here. And so it'll all tie in quite nicely together because, again, having the jazzberry up there, then the sun patients down here, and of course, as we pan over, they will be just beautiful right here as well. So I got my boys. They are busy working. If you've seen some activity behind us, Andrew has been working on a special project the last 2 days. So I will show you that in the next video, but I'm gonna go check on them. I will keep my pink Cascade 2 well watered, keep an eye on her. And then once she bounces back, she'll be good to go. So as soon as the sun gets off of her and she rehydrates and gets nice and perky, then I will feel much more confident. I'm confident in it. And this is not at all the time to be transplanting in the full basking sun and let it sit there all day. Not ideal, right? You would love to do it on a cloudy day, a day where you're gonna get some rain. That is optimal, even in the winter time. Late May in the full sun, not so much. But you know, you got to do what you got to do, right? In both life and gardening. So anyway, we got all those little babies in the ground. Feel good about that. It was a good day of work, and it's going to be a gorgeous, gorgeous returns on my time and energy. As always, thanks so much for gardening with Creekside. We hope you have found this fun, informative, and inspirational. Y'all have a fantastic day, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.